Hiral Mataji, want to say Mangalacharan? If not, we can do next time.
Mataji, next time.
Okay, okay. Sure. And do you want me to send it or do you have it?
Mataji, I have it. I'm just, the third shloka is something I'm not very sure about reciting. Everything else I know.
Right, right. Okay. Let me see if I can put it on the screen and maybe we can all recite together. Who?
Mataji, can I try it?
Yes. Yes, Mataji.
Please, kuch bhi, if there's any trutya, Mataji, let me know, but I'll try it.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Om Jnanaatimirandasya Jnananjashalakaya Chakshur Anmilitan Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudapada Kamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Savidartha Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishnan Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitam Cha He Krishna Karnau Sindhau Dino Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchna Gaurangi Radha Vrindavaneshwari Krishna Bhanu Sate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatrubhya Sakripa Sindhubha Ivacha Patitanam Papnipyo Vaishnapyo Namo Nama Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namastaste Saraswati Devi Gauri Vani Pracharane Nirvishya Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarane Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangu Langhayate Girim Yat Kripataham Vande Shri Guru Dina Taranan Paramanand Madhavam Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram Gaura Chandriya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishna Bhakta Hayat Bhaktaya Namo Nama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Very wonderful. Just thoda pronunciation here and there, was different, but you got everything. Wow, very nice. It's hard, and you can just keep hearing like a recording or just in the beginning of classes, everybody does the Mangalacharan, so you can play it, record that piece and just keep playing it over and over again until it becomes really conthast nicely.
Okay, Mother.
But yeah, perfect. Okay, we'll get started with our Bhagavad Gita reading. So I don't think we can finish the chapter today, but next time we should be able to finish. So with that intention, I'm going to try to cover 4-5 verses today. So we have read 59 and I think no 60 and 61 last time. Are the last couple verses where we stopped. So Krishna is talking about sense control. If you remember, he's discussing the concept of a sage of steady intelligence or a sage of fixed mind. And in that principle, he's talking about the concept of sense control. So the most important quality or the first quality of a sage of fixed mind, sage of steady intelligence, sober intelligence is that they have sense control. So Krishna is describing how senses are very strong, very impetuous. They are like a child. They're very forceful and they can even distract a very learned man. So how should one control them is what we are learning. And last time the verse that we memorized was about the higher taste, which is 2.59. Vishya vinivartante nir aharasya dehina rasavarajam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. Param drishtva means higher taste. So basically, so far Krishna has said in the section of sense control, which started from 2.58, Krishna said, withdraw your senses like a tortoise, meaning restrict them. Okay. So don't unnecessarily engage in places where there is a lot of sense gratification, a lot of sense enjoyment going on, because um, you will get distracted. You have a taste for these sense objects, so you will want to enjoy them. So restrict your senses, withdraw your sense organs like a tortoise draws its limbs inside. Okay. Then he said, but restricting them is hard, okay, because the taste still remains. Rasvarjam rasopiyasya. So even though we try to restrict them, the taste still remains until you develop a higher taste, okay, until you give them param drishtva, or a better engagement. So just restricting the senses from material sense objects is not enough, but attaching the senses to a divine source, to a divine consciousness, to a spiritual action, to spiritual sense objects is a better plan. It is what intelligent people do. So he said, it's hard to control just by restriction, even for a learned man. But those who are fixed in Krishna consciousness can control them, and this is a more intelligent option. So this is the way you can develop higher taste, and automatically, spontaneously, a distaste for material sense objects will develop. Automatically, the senses will start avoiding the material sense objects and will hanker more and more for the spiritual sense objects. So develop a taste for divine or spiritual sense objects. Okay. So then he used this word yukt asita matpara. He said that become yukt, become absorbed in my consciousness, matpara. So those people that are engaged in my consciousness, and Prabhupada gave the example of Ambrish Maharaj in the purport, that if you do that, like Ambrish Maharaj, if you fix your senses on various spiritual activities, like with your eyes, you are looking at the form of the deities, with your ears, you are hearing the Harinam and the Hari Kirtan, with your tongue, you're tasting the prasadam, with your skin, with your taste, with your touch, you are touching the feet of devotees, or with your limbs, you're walking to the temples, to the festivals, to the dhams. Like that, you can purify your sense organs much better, much faster, rather than restricting your senses artificially, because that path is harder, and even very learned sages can fall down from such a path when forcibly trying to control the senses. So, so Prabhupada gave the example of Vishwamitra or Shobari Muni, that how these people fell down when they were just trying to restrain their senses. So in 61, that's what Krishna said. Even a man of one who restrains his senses, in 60, Krishna said that the senses are so strong, so forcible, that they can forcibly carry away the mind even of a man of discrimination, meaning even a very learned man can fall down from such a path. But somebody like Haridas Thakur, who's attached to the names of the Lord, to the service of the Tulsi Maharani, who's attached to Mahaprabhu, he can control his senses very wonderfully. Even though Maya Devi came in front of him and tried to lure him, he was not tempted by her. So artificial sense control may not work, because senses are very, very forceful. They're very agitating. Okay. So then we have to start from 62, which this is the verse we memorized today. So let's do it again. And 62 and 63 we'll discuss together. Okay. Dhyayato vishayan pumsa.
Dhyayato visyaन् puംसा
Sangasteshu pujayate.
Sangaseshu pajayate
Sangat sanjayate kama.
Sangat sanjayate kama
Kamat krodho vijayate.
Kamat krodho
vijayate.
Let's recite next also. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. Sammohat smriti vibrama.
Sammohat smriti vibrama.
Smriti bhramshad buddhinasho. Smriti
Smriti
bhramshad
bhramsat
buddhinasho.
buddhinasho.
Buddhinashat pranashyati. Buddhinashat
Buddhinasat
pranashyati.
pranasyati.
So let's do these together. Can somebody read both their translations?
I can read, Mataji.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, 2.62. While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them, and from such attachment, lust develops, and from lust, anger arises.
Let's read the
Should
next
I read the purport, Mataji, or the
one. Let's
translation?
read the next one.
From anger, complete delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost, and when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool.
So let's take the Sanskrit of this. So we have already discussed, but just for one more review. So dhyayato vishayan pumsa. So again, contemplating or absorbing oneself on the sense objects. Vishay means sense objects. Living entities develop sangha or attachment to that sense object. Okay. So from dhyayato comes sangha or attachment. Sangat sanjayate kama. From that, attachment develops a very strong, uncontrollable desire, very strong urge to enjoy that sense object. A very strong lust develops. Lust basically means a very strong desire. Lust not only refers to like a sensual desire, because typically in this world, when we say lust, we often just refer to sensual desire. Okay, like sensual, or you can say sexual type of desire is often referred to as lust. But that's not because sexual or sensual desire is considered so strong that actually in our scriptures, all types of calm are called lust only. Okay, but out of those calm, the sensual desire or sexual desire is the strongest type of desire. That's why often people don't even bother calling everything else lust. Those things they're just called, enjoyment or desires. But only the sensual or sexual desire is called lust. But in our scriptures, every material enjoyment is called calm or lust. Okay, so don't be confused when you see the word calm, which refers to lust, or lust means any tendency for material enjoyment or any tendency for hankering for material sense objects. Okay, desire to enjoy material sense objects is called calm. So from attachment develops calm, and kamat krodho vijayate, and from this calm, from this lust develops anger. Okay, so 4 things are mentioned here. Now, just looking at the Sanskrit of the next one very quickly. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. When one develops krodh or anger, that leads to sammoha. Sammoha means delusion. Okay. जैसे हम किसी से completely इतना attract हो गए that we are completely under its spell. We are like spellbound by it. We are so anger has completely taken over our faculties, so that all our normal faculty, normal judgment is lost. So sammoha means that kind of delusion develops. So, and you must have all gone through this at some point or another, when you have such uncontrollable anger that you become sammohit by it. Okay, you become completely bewildered or deluded by it. Sammohat, then when you have that sammohan, when you are under the spell of this anger, smriti vibrama, you forget. Okay, smriti vibrama means you lose your memory, you forget things. Okay, you forget the past, you forget your instructions, your teachings, everything. So you smriti vibrama. Smriti brahmashat buddhi nasho, and then that leads to loss of intelligence. So intelligence does not work anymore. Intelligence has no control over you, and when you lost control of your intelligence, then it leads to fall down. Buddhi nashat pranashyati. So one falls down. Falls down means that they again fall back into the pool of material enjoyment. So I can just give you a quick example so you can relate to this. For example, we were discussing about ad agencies. Like ad agencies uh, will showcase all these very attractive sense objects in front of your senses, so that you get attached to them, right? So they will, let's say, showcase a car, and they will showcase all its features, they will advertise all its various luxuries, and they show these beautiful people that are enjoying that car, and how their life has become very successful by being in this car. Celebrities come and pose in front of the car, so you feel that, oh, if in order to be called successful, in order to be called rich, or in order to be popular, this car is a must have. So you start contemplating on it, they make you contemplate on it. So that's why it is said that the whole ad agency is basically dhyato. So सबसे पहले हमको यहीं पे we have to stop this whole sequence. We have to stop at dhyato typically, but we start contemplating on a sense object. We start contemplating on that car. Okay, then we develop attachment to it. Now I have developed so much attachment to it that I want it. Okay, I really want it in my life, and I feel that my life is incomplete. Nothing gives me happiness, nothing gives me satisfaction until I have that car. Okay, so I'm now saving up for that car. Now I am working hard day in and day out for that car. Okay, but somehow, let's say, um, two things can happen. Kamat krodho bijayate. Now somebody can say, why would this desire lead to krodh? This leads to krodh in two situations. Okay, one is if your desire got fulfilled, you will still, let's say I got that car somehow. Okay, but now I will want um, um, I will want more things. Okay, it will lead to greed. Now I want that, I would want, let's say, a chauffeur. Let's say I would want another car. It will lead to greed. Okay, or I would want that car to give me enjoyment forever, but this enjoyment will not be sustainable. This enjoyment will not be everlasting. So I will not be fulfilled. And I thought this car was the answer to all my problems, but it is not. It is not a solution to all my problems, and that will lead to growth. That will lead to frustration, irritability, anger. Okay, I will become angry, or I may become anxious because now when I'm driving it, so one way or the other, if this particular desire, if it gets fulfilled or not fulfilled, it will lead to growth. If it gets fulfilled, I will develop greed, I will want more things, or I will be very fearful or anxious that somebody will steal my car. I will not take it out on the road because what if somebody scratches it, somebody hits it? What if I get into an accident? Or it will give me anxiety because now I have this luxury car and now I need to buy extravagant insurance for it, and now I need to maintain it. So now that will lead to a lot of anxiety or irritability, or it will lead to growth, anger, anxiety, irritability because it did not fulfill my wishes as I thought it will. Okay, so in various ways it will lead to anger. And if that desire did not get fulfilled, I really worked hard, I collected all the money, and yet I could not get the car for some reason. Okay, somebody stole my money or something else happened, whatever happened, and I could not get the car. So not getting the desire fulfilled will lead to anger. But if the desire did get fulfilled, it will still lead to anger because this is the nature of material sense enjoyment. It is never completely satisfying. So one way or the other, growth will come. Anger, irritability, fear, anxiety, all these things will come. And then Krishna says, if you develop anger, let's say your desire was not fulfilled, and now you're very upset. Now you see neighbor's car, and you will become so overcome with anger that maybe you steal it, or that maybe you try to damage it because how come he has the car and I never got it, even though I worked so hard for last 5 years. I've been saving up money to get this car and I did not get it. And this man, he hardly works, he's lazy, and he has the car. So I will become very angry, and that will cause delusion, and I will lose my memory, I will lose my intelligence, and may end up causing some kind of crime, some kind of sinful act, or something that I will regret. So pranashyati means I will fall down, I will act regrettably, or in some way that is not appropriate. Some improper conduct will happen due to that anger. Okay, so this is just the gist of this verse. But let's read a little bit. Um, who wants to read some of this purport? Actually, you can read the whole purport.
I can read, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
One who is not Krishna conscious is subjected to material desire while contem contem con
Contemplating.
contemplating the subject of the senses. The senses require real engagement, and if they are not engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, they will certainly seek engagement in the service of materialism. In the material world, everyone, including Lord Shiv and Lord Brahma, to say nothing of other demigods in the heavenly planets, is subjected to the influence of objects, and the only method to get out of this puzzle of material existence is to become Krishna conscious. Lord Shiva was deep in meditation, but when Parvati agitated him for sense pleasure, he agreed to the purpose, and as a result, Kartikeya was born. When Haridas Thakur was young devotee of the Lord, he was similarly allured by the incarnation of Maya Devi. But Haridas easily passed the test because of his unalloyed devotion to Lord Krishna. As illustrated in the above mentioned verse of Sri Yamunacharya, as a sincere devotee of the Lord shuns all the material sense enjoyment due to his higher taste for spiritual enjoyment in the association of the Lord. That is the secret of success. One who is not therefore in Krishna consciousness, however powerful he may be in controlling the senses by artificial repression, uh, is sure ultimately to fail, for the slightest thought of sense pleasure will agitate him to gratify his desires. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. So here 2 points I want to bring your attention to. This first line is very wonderful. Prabhupada says senses need some real engagement. And if they are not engaged in the service of the Lord, then they will seek engagement in the service of materialism. So if you don't connect your senses to a spiritual sense object, to the divine activities, to spiritual activities, to Krishna's work, to Krishna's related activities, then they will get attracted towards Maya. They will go towards worldly sense objects. So agar Krishna ki seva nahi karenge, to Maya ki seva hogi automatically. So if you're not in the light, you're automatically in the darkness. There is no gray zone here. Okay. So if you are not connecting yourself to Krishna, then you are serving the world. If you're not engaged in service of Krishna, you're serving this world or various things of this world. So either be a servant of Krishna or become a slave, become a victim of Maya. So senses need some real engagement. And then Prabhupada has, of course, given these examples that we have understood, that it is difficult just by artificial repression to cure the senses. They need a real engagement. So just repressing the sense objects, just restraining the senses from sense objects will fail. Okay. So just restraining your senses will not work for a very long time. Also, this path is very hard. It's very difficult to just restrain your senses. It's very difficult to just control your tongue and not eat anything. But it's easy to eat prasadam. So it's not sustainable to keep refraining your senses, the pleasure of sense objects. Okay, it is not sustainable. It is not long lasting. It is not repetitively possible. And it is very difficult and not joyful. Whereas giving senses a spiritual sense object to enjoy is a very joyful very joyful option. It is a very easier option, more tasteful. Okay, and Krishna is involved in it, so it becomes very that Krishna's mercy is involved in it, so senses become very easily purified. Otherwise, by artificial repression, it's very difficult, and ultimately that agenda will fail. So whoever tries, like Vishwamitra, Shobari Muni, and so many others have been there that were lured by these apsaras or by certain foods or by certain activities and things like that. That's because they're just restraining their senses, but not giving a better engagement or a higher taste to the senses. So just 2 points here to remember, that senses always need engagement. Senses are very active. They cannot just be rendered inactive. So engage them in Krishna service and they will automatically become under your control. Okay. Let's read the next one also, then I will write it down and discuss it in more detail. Can somebody read this purport from, not the verse, but from the English?
I can read, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
By development of Krishna consciousness, one can know that everything has its use in the service of the Lord. Those who are without knowledge of Krishna consciousness artificially try to avoid material objects, and as a result, although they desire liberation from material bondage, they do not attain to the perfect stage of renunciation. Their so-called renunciation is called Falgu, or less important. On the other hand, a person in Krishna consciousness knows how to use everything in the service of the Lord. Therefore, he does not become a victim of material consciousness. For example, for an impersonalist, the Lord or the Absolute, being impersonal, cannot eat, whereas an impersonalist tries to avoid good eatables. A devotee knows that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer and that he eats all that is offered to him in devotion. So after offering good eatables to the Lord, the devotee takes the remnants called prasadam. Thus everything becomes spiritualized and there is no danger of a downfall. The devotee takes prasadam in Krishna consciousness, whereas the non-devotee rejects it as material. The impersonalist, therefore, cannot enjoy life due to his artificial renunciation. And for this reason, a slight agitation of the mind pulls him down again into the pool of material existence. It is said that such a soul, even though rising up to the point of liberation, falls down again due to his not having support in devotional service. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada has elaborated on this point that just artificially giving up something is called falgu vairagya or artificial renunciation. Falgu vairagya means artificial, because you gave up something. First of all, it's not yours to give, right? It was not yours to renounce. But when you renounce this, also thinking that it's yours, there is still no internal detachment. There is only externally you have given up that object, but internally the taste is still there for that particular sense object. So as soon as there is slight agitation, Prabhupada is saying, as soon as there is slight agitation of the mind, let's say you did dhyayato, let's say you were sitting in meditation, I'm not going to eat anything, and you started thinking about the samosas, their flavor, their smell, the aroma, the taste, how nourishing it will be. Oh, it'll fulfill my hunger. It will satisfy my hunger. It will fill my stomach. It'll be so nice to have some biryani and roti and paneer and dal. And then that person, with a slight agitation of the mind, Prabhupada is saying, will get pulled back into the material existence. So he was artificially trying to renounce something. So these things that are there in the world, they are not yours to first of all give up. They should rather be used in the service of the Lord. These sense objects that are there in the world, let's say food or whatever sounds or smells or these things, instead of just giving them up, if you just shift the focus and instead of using them for your own enjoyment, use them to satisfy Krishna, then you have spiritualized that sense object. So same sense object that you were initially just enjoying for yourself in bhoga, now you offer those to Krishna and spiritualize them, use them for his service, for his satisfaction, for his pleasure, and that now becomes yoga. That same thing that was entangling you before, that same sense object will now free you actually. And not only free you, but give you joy because now you have attached that in service of Krishna. So that's why, like, for example, Prabhupada never, so this is called Yukta Vairagya. So Prabhupada never endorse this concept of artificial renunciation. Like a lot of yogis or this type of renunciates, tyagis, they will say, oh, we don't touch money. But Prabhupada said, no, we don't touch money in the sense materialists do. What we do is we want money so that we can use it in the service of Krishna, so that we can make temples, we can buy books, we can distribute prasadam, we can do Hari Nam Kirtans and whatnot. So we're not shunning, Prabhupada used the word shun. We are not shunning something material just because it's condemnable, it's condemned. And we rather use that material object in the service of Krishna, and that spiritualizes that object so that now the same object will free you, will liberate you, will purify you, will attract mercy of Krishna, and it will become a very joyful process rather than just artificially giving it up. So there is a Falgu Vairagya, which is artificial renunciation, which is very superficial because there is no internal detachment. Person still has the taste for the world. Versus there is Yukt Vairagya, where you're using everything, but not for your own personal agenda or personal satisfaction or sense gratification. You're using it for the satisfaction of Krishna. So this is called Yukt Vairagya, and this is the real yoga. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is a beautiful verse which says, I'll try to remember, it goes something like this. Krishnendriya priti vancha tare bala prema Atmendriya priti vancha. Sorry, ulta. Atmendriya priti vancha tare bali kama Krishnendriya priti vancha Dhare prema nama. So Atmendriya Priti Vancha, if you desire to fulfill only your senses for sense enjoyment, that is called Tara Bali calm. That is called calm or lust. So when you are in the center, when you are living a me-centered life, self-centered life, that this particular object is for my enjoyment, then it becomes calm or lust. But Krishnendriya Priti Vancha, when you're trying to satisfy the senses of Krishna, Dhare Prem Nam, then it is called Prem. Okay, so this is the journey from calm to Prem, or from lust to love, or from Bhoga to Yoga. So if we engage in sense objects for our benefit, then this whole sequence of things happen where we contemplate on the sense object. It leads to attachment. Attachment leads to calm, and calm leads to anger, and then anger leads to this illusion. Illusion leads to bewilderment of memory. Bewilderment of memory leads to buddhinash, loss of intelligence, and then the person falls down. So by attaching oneself to sense object, one falls down. But by attaching a sense object to Krishna, one elevates himself, becomes liberated, becomes transcendental or divine. Let's get this down very nicely. So I'm going to engage everyone here. Please unmute yourself and try to answer this for me. So you just learned the verse. What was the number of the verse that we learned?
262.
Okay, if I can write. So we did 2.62. So Mataji, what was the first problem in that verse?
Mataji, contemplation of sense objects.
So that is called?
Mataji, I just sent you a picture of a flowchart which I made. I sent it. I couldn't know how to send it on the chat, but I just sent it to you on your WhatsApp.
You wrote it down, Mataji?
Yeah, I wrote it and I sent it to you on your WhatsApp and your. So I made like a flowchart of it.
I didn't get it.
On 2.62 and 2.63. आपके या तो मैसेज पे या व्हाट्सएप पे माताजी किसी एक पे भेजा
हो सकता है मैसेज पे आया
हाँ हो सकता है मैसेज पे one of those.
Sorry, I'm trying to write. I'm not able to write. Anyways, so the first thing was contemplation, right? Contemplation or dhyato. This is the problem. So what will this lead to? When
attachment.
This will lead to attachment. Let's hear from somebody else. So this leads to sangha or attachment. You become attached to that particular sense object. What will attachment cause?
Lust.
Lust, right? Or calm, very strong, uncontrollable desire or lust. And then let's see who else can tell me what will lust lead to?
Anger, krodh.
Anger. So it will lead to krodh. And then the next verse is 2.63. So that says anger will lead to what? Who else can say? Somebody else who was listening.
It will lead to attachment.
Sammoha.
No, anger se attachment.
Sammoha. Delusion.
Delusion.
Illusion. Yeah, delusion, right? So kuch bhi likh sakte hain. I'll just write. So delusion. So you become deluded. Yes, spellbound completely by that anger. You've lost control. You're not in control of your faculties anymore. So delusion will lead to? Let's hear from someone who has not said anything yet.
Forgetfulness of from like previous relations.
Memory loss.
Yes.
Right? Loss of memory. So you will forget things. You will forget. Let's say you're fighting with someone, right? You forget all the good counsel, good relationship and everything. And then that will lead to? Memory loss leads to? So this is?
Loss of wisdom, kind of?
Intelligence. So loss of intelligence. Buddhi nasho. So buddhi ka nash ho jayega. Just write buddhi. Buddhi nasho. And this will lead to fall down. So there are 8 steps in this. Okay. So the first is, so we have to stop right here. We should not allow ourselves to contemplate on the sense objects. Okay. And this is a don't. This is where we restrict our senses. This is where we withdraw our senses like a tortoise from the sense object. So this is a, now let me clean this. So there are 8 things. Sorry, 8 things. So contemplation, 2 attachment, 3 lust, 4 anger, 5 delusion, 6 memory loss, 7 buddhi nash, and 8 fall down. Okay, so we said we have to stop at the contemplation, right? So contemplation pe stop karna is like refraining your senses. Okay, so in bhakti yoga, in any spiritual path actually, there are do's and don'ts. You agree? There are do's and don'ts. So when we take spiritual vows, we um, vow to follow certain regulative principles. Is that true? And everybody knows the 4 regulative principles of freedom, I hope. So that we follow some do's, some don'ts. Hai na? So when we refrain our senses, those are the 4 regulative principles. Okay, like for example, what are the 4 regulative principles you can mention? We had a whole class on it.
No
meat,
meat eating,
no
No
alcohol,
no alcohol,
no alcohol,
Gambling.
koi
no
bhi
gambling,
intoxication.
No gambling.
no gambling, no illicit relation.
Who is speaking? This is Ravi Prabhu.
This is me, Mataji, yes.
Oh, okay. No gambling and no relation, illicit.
Illicit relation.
So let's say I'll just say illicit something. Okay. So this is the don't. So you're not engaging with unwanted food. इसमें सब कुछ आ जाएगा, meat, fish, eggs, intoxication में alcohol, smoking, drugs, सब कुछ आ जाएगा. So you're avoiding these bad things to enter your body, right? No gambling means this just earning money without without working for it. Or illicit relationship means opposite gender के साथ illegal relationship, right? Adultery or extramarital or premarital type of relationships, illicit relationships. So this is the don't. So this is how we can control our senses. So this is how we are. Don'ts typically means, it's called in Ashtanga Yoga, this is called yam, meaning to not do something, to refrain from doing something, or you can say nishedh, to avoid certain things. So you don't come in contact with these things. Okay, these are also called regulations. So or certain restrictions. So that is why these are called 4 regulative principles. But actually there are many regulative principles. Regulative principles not only include don'ts, but they also include do's. Okay, so this means certain things that you should do, that you should follow. Okay, you should follow certain rules or certain niyams, certain इसको बोलते हैं विधि. एक होता है विधि, एक होता है निषेध. So certain things we should do. So these are the positive things that we should do in our life, and these are the negative things that we should not do in our life. So don'ts are always a little bit hard, and do's are always easier. Okay, so that's why for new people we often say focus on the do's, don't worry so much about the don'ts. Okay, because eliminating something from your life like meat, alcohol, smoking, etc. may be hard. So focus on do's, because do's means attaching yourself to Krishna. Okay, do's means doing those activities which attach yourself to Krishna, which gives you the higher taste. So do's basically means higher taste. Okay, do's means developing higher taste. And Krishna says this is a more intelligent action plan, because you are attaching yourself to Krishna. So can somebody think of certain do's that we can follow in our life for sense
Chanting Krishna name.
chanting. So
Eating
now
only prasadam.
एक second. Now, if you see, when we take initiation, let's say when we take Diksha, these are the 2 things that we do, right? 4 regulative principles and certain number of chanting. So you see, we have do and don'ts, both, right? But there are unwritten rules. Other than chanting, certain other things we do. For example, like you said, eating prasadam. Now, those things we don't take vow, but still these are unwritten rules that we should follow these vidhis or these niyams or these do's to add Krishna in our life. What are the other things that we can do other than
Hari and association of devotees?
So ABCD, can we just do that? Can say that, right? Association of devotees, reading or hearing books or scriptures, chanting the holy names, going to dham, temple, eating Krishna conscious diet or sattvic karma free diet, and entering the dham, right? So A, B, C, D, E. So in this way, these are the do's that we're supposed to follow. Then certain other things can be keeping Ekadashi, So all these things are do's. Okay, these are the niyams, and this is how we develop higher taste. This is how we control our senses, and these are the don'ts. And there are more don'ts than this also, of course, but these are the minimum. So that's why when we take diksha, we take a vow for at least minimum that we will chant certain number of rounds, and minimum we will restrict our senses from these 4 things. Okay, so I just wanted to show you this so you understand what do's and don'ts are there and what vidhi and nishedh or rules and restrictions are there. Let's go to, sorry, very quickly. Let's go to next verse because things will become more clear. Let's do verse 64. I think we have a few minutes still. So 64 is Ragadvesha Vimuktestu. Ragadvesha Vimuktestu. Vishayan Indriyascharan. Vishayan Indriyascharan. Atmavasher Vidheyatma. Atmavasher
Atmavashir Atma
Prasadam Adhigachati.
Prasadam Adhigachati.
This is actually also very important verse. This and the next one are also also memory verses actually. But I chose 62 and 63 because they're more commonly cited by Prabhupada. So here what Krishna is saying is Rag Dvesh Vimuktestu. So Krishna is still talking about sense control. He says, in this way, a person who is free from attachment or aversion, like he's not too, this is like for these, like we took the example of money. Somebody is not too attached to money. Somebody is not has hatred or aversion of money either. Okay, so we are not shunning it, we are not avoiding it because it's something, because it is material. So they don't have, a spiritual person, a sober person does not have dvesh for it. Okay, so we are not giving it up. Okay, we're not shunning it artificially, and we do not have any extra attachment for it either. Okay, if we get it, we will, I'm just taking example of money because that will appeal to everyone. If we get it, we will use it for service of Krishna, but we are not unduly attached to it, and we are not avoiding it. If we are getting it, we are not going to say no to it, right? Because we know that we have the opportunity to use it in service of Krishna. So we have neither rag nor dvesh for it. So a sober person who does not have rag or dvesh, attachment or aversion to these sense objects, okay, Vishayan Indriyascharan means such a person can control his senses from sense objects. Such a person can restrain his Indriya from Vishay, from his sense organs from sense objects. Atma Vasher Vidheyatma. So through regulative principles of freedom, through regulative principle that we just discussed, do's and don'ts, remember regulative principles of freedom include both do's and don'ts. Often we just say 4 regulative principles, but actually in Nectar of Devotion, Rup Goswami has given many 64 regulative principles. So regulative principles means all the various angas of bhakti, including A, B, C, D, E, and many more, plus the 4 principles and many, many more things. So all the do's and don'ts, but through those, this person is able to control his senses. Atma Vasher, uske vash mein hai, uski indriyan, Atma Vasher. Such a person, prasadam adhigachati, he gets the mercy of the Lord or prasad of the Lord. Okay, so he gets, in this way, he gets the, he gets to satisfy the Lord and gets the complete mercy of the Lord. So a person who's free from attachment and aversion can control his senses through regulative principles of freedom, can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord. Can somebody read this whole translation and purport?
I can read, Mataji.
Yes.
Translation. But a person free from all attachment and aversion and able to control his senses through regulative principles of freedom can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord. Purport. He's already explained that. Sorry,
I lost the screen. Sorry, my browser got shut down. 1 second. We are reading 2.64, right?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Perfect. It is already explained that one may externally control the senses by some artificial process, but unless the senses are engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord, there is every chance of a fall. Although the person in full Krishna consciousness may apparently be on a sensual plane, because of his being Krishna conscious, he has no attachment to sensual activities. The Krishna conscious person is concerned only with the satisfaction of Krishna and nothing else. Therefore, he is transcendental to all attachments and detachment. If Krishna wants, the devotee can do anything which is ordinarily undesirable. And if Krishna does not want, he shall not do that which he would have ordinarily done for his own satisfaction. Therefore, to act or not to act is within his control because he acts only under the direction of Krishna. This consciousness is the causeless mercy of the Lord, which the devotee can achieve in spite of his being attached to the sensual platform. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So I think we've discussed this. Two phrases here of Prabhupada that are very important. Krishna conscious person is concerned only with the satisfaction of Krishna and nothing else. So he chooses his engagements, his actions, his various, what he eats, what he does not eat, what he enjoys, what he does not enjoy, everything based on whether it will please Krishna or not, whether it will satisfy Krishna or not. And the next phrase is, he acts only under the direction of Krishna. So he's acting under the direction of Krishna. He's acting under the guidance, according to the will of Krishna, to fulfill the desires of Krishna, to please him. So in this way, he's able to control his senses. He will accept whatever is needed from this world to maintain his Krishna conscious activities, and whatever comes of its own accord, he enjoys. He's not hankering after extra things, okay? And he's not avoiding or averse to material things just because they're material. He would rather use them in the service of Krishna, because Krishna is the supreme controller, proprietor, knowing that everything is created by the Supreme Lord. He is the complete ultimate enjoyer. He offers everything in the service of the Lord. In this way, he gets prasadam or mercy of the Lord. So this is the art of sense control that Krishna is teaching us. That this is the way you can train your senses. You can become the master instead of becoming a slave or victim of senses, instead of becoming agitated by them, becoming angry, like we discussed before, dhyato se leke anger ka process, instead of going that route, you can rather become their master. You can become Goswami. Go means senses and Swami means master. So master of the senses, rather than becoming Godas, which is a slave or a victim of the senses. There is a beautiful verse said by Narad Muni. It says, Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tatparatmena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha shilanam bhaktiruchyate sevanam bhaktiruchyate. So Narad Muni says, Sarvopadi vinirmuktam. Give up all your material designations, okay? Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tat paratvena nirmalam, and slowly get purified by offering your senses to the controller of the senses. Rishikena rishikesha. Give your senses to the master of the senses. If you remember, in chapter 1, we learned one name for Krishna called Rishikesh. So Rishikesh means controller of senses. So Rishikena means give up your senses. Your senses should be used in the service of the master of the senses. He is the original master, the controller of the senses. If you use your senses in his service, only that is the way to control the senses, to train the senses, to purify the senses. Otherwise, any other process, giving up on them, restricting them, artificially repressing them, avoiding the sense objects, all these things will not work for a very long time. The only way to work to make this process work, the true art of sense control, is to use them in the service of the master of the senses, which is Rishikesh. So, and this such person who satisfies senses of Krishna will get the prasad or the mercy of Krishna. Let's do next verse also. This is actually a very famous verse, often said by some devotees before accepting the prasad or before honoring the bhoga. So what does this say? Prasade sarva dukkhanam Prasade sarva dukhanam
Kanam
hanir asyopajayate.
hanirasyopajayate
Prasanna chetaso hi ashu. Prasanna chetaso hi ashu. Buddhi paryavatisthate. Buddhi paryavatisthate. So actually our Guru Maharaj always says this prayer before honoring the prasadam. So this says, can somebody read this?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
For one, thus satisfied in Krishna consciousness, the threefold miseries of material existence exist no longer. In such satisfied consciousness, one's intelligence is soon well established.
So basically, such a sober person who's utilizing his senses in the service of Krishna, for them, what happens is because of this prasad, because of this mercy of the Lord, sarva dukkhanam hanir asyopajayate. Sare dukkhon ki, of all the miseries, hani means ki hani ho jati hai, means all the dukkhas are destroyed. So this is like a continuation from the last verse, that such a person who is not overly attached or avoiding the sense objects, rather using them in the service of Krishna, he satisfies the Krishna completely. Remember the word prasad came before also. He gets the prasadam adhigacchati. He gets the mercy of the Lord. And because of this mercy, all his miseries or dukkhas are destroyed. Hanir asyopajayate. And not only his miseries are destroyed, but he becomes prasanna chetaso. He becomes very happy, very satisfied in his own mind also. He becomes very joyful. Okay, prasanna chetaso hi ashu. Buddhi paryavatishtate, and becomes very fixed in his intelligence. So his intelligence is very soon well established. So this is a person of sober intelligence or fixed intelligence. His intelligence is coming directly from the mercy of the Lord, because he has tried to please the senses of the Lord. He has connected, he has used his senses in service of the Lord. So he has acquired mercy. This mercy has destroyed all his dukkhas, and he has now become very happy minded, and his intelligence is fixed. So basically, when you engage your senses in service of the Lord, it is a very, like that service, that seva is a very, very sustainable happiness. It's a very long lasting joy. It's a very deep joy. We often say that that such a happiness, such a joy, such a bliss has both depth and width. It lasts long, okay? It lasts for longer duration of time, and it goes deeper. So it is very, and it is also sustainable because it is giving you such deep and profound happiness. It is so nourishing to the soul that you will keep repeating it. So this action is repetitive also. Whereas artificially restraining the senses is a very hard thing to do. It's very distressful. It's hard to repeat it. It's hard to sustain also. Whereas this type of process where you connect yourself to Krishna, satisfy him, you get his mercy, because you have attached Krishna in your endeavors, in your activities. So you have acquired his mercy, you have pleased him, you have satisfied him, and by satisfying the source, all else gets satisfied. Your senses get satisfied, which are under his control. Remember, he's a controller of senses. Your senses get satisfied, and everybody else, everything becomes very happy, very satisfied. You get such a profound bliss that that it's so deep, it's so everlasting, that such a person will now keep doing these activities because he's getting such a deep bliss. That's why people that are in this spiritual path for a long time, they're doing these things. They are eating prasadam, they are connecting through all their activities to Krishna. They are hearing kirtan and hearing harikatha and reading harikatha and chanting Krishna's names. They have connected their senses to for the satisfaction of Krishna, to spiritual objects. And so they have acquired mercy of the Lord, and that's why they are now enjoying such a deep bliss, such a profound bliss, that they can keep doing these activities. And they are the people of sober intelligence, so a sage of steady intelligence, who are fixed in their activities. So that is what it means when we say get fixed up in devotional service, get very firmly fixed up in this path, means start doing all things for Krishna, because then you will become very happy. Prasanna chetaso hi ashu. You will become happy minded person. So the enjoyment of the world will pale in front of this enjoyment, because this enjoyment is coming from the mercy of the Lord. So not only dukkhas will go away, but also very, very satisfied in your consciousness. I don't know if we can do next one or not. Okay, let's just do one more. Is that okay? Or shall we take questions? Let's see. Does anyone have any questions? Who can tell me what is the concept of Yukt Vairagya? I'll ask questions. Let's see. Komal Mataji, do you know what is, we talked about something called Yukt Vairagya.
Vairag, just doing like everything in Krishna consciousness is like that way, it's like we are taking maybe in the not doing the things in a material world, but the Krishna is the center, and then we are doing the activities. So it's that kind of.
Yeah. And what was the other term that Prabhupada used? Who can say? Yes, Mataji, this is perfect. Yukt Vairagya means to use. Yukta matlab to connect with Krishna. Yukta. So to connect everything with Krishna and thus being renounced, thus being detached. So not detachment that I won't use it for me, but rather I would use everything for Krishna. It's called Yukt Vairagya. And what is the other term that Prabhupada used in the purports? The other type of Vairagya that he mentioned, which is artificial, which is superficial, which is not very helpful, does not
Falgu.
last.
Falgu.
Falgu Vairagya, right? Falgu is very artificial, wasteful, superficial type of Vairagya, and it does not last long. So Falgu Vairagya versus Yukt Vairagya. So in our tradition, Yukt Vairagya is recommended where we attach everything to Krishna and not just give up things artificially. Any questions from these concepts that we discussed today? Or any principles, concepts that were not clear today?
No, Mataji, I don't have any question.
Okay, let's see, take some then reflections. We'll start from 66 next class and try to finish. 66 to 72 we'll have to do next class. So we memorized the verse 2.62. 2.63 also we can memorize next time if you want. Please try to memorize on your own 62 and 63, the whole order of things. Anyone wants to share anything? Nagarchan Prabhu, Ravi Prabhu, Hiral Mataji, Shalja Mataji, anything?
Mataji, I really like the way and the 2.62 and 63 connected and how the order works. I think that really makes sense. If we can just remember that, it makes it a lot more easier to learn with the verses.
So
Yes,
one
ma'am.
more that he was like, for like we have to focus more on do's and less on don'ts, because like when we focus more on do's, so like Krishna and Radharani already will give strength us to do the don't things, so we can
Yes.
remove this from their blessings. We can get more on the things what we don't want on our spiritual life. So we have to more focus on doing chantings or doing all the good things which can give us more strength.
Yes, Mataji, this was perfect understanding. Very nice point you mentioned that if you focus on do's, actually you will get mercy to, you will get empowered to follow the don'ts also, because don'ts are very hard. Because let's say you may be used to doing something for a long time. So taking that out of your life can be hard. Giving up things can be hard because everybody else around you is still doing them. So they are telling you, no, it's okay to do them. And now this spiritual tradition is telling you to not to restrict these things, to not do these things. So it's hard. The world is telling you something else. The spiritualist is telling you something else. And you're used to it. Your body has become habituated to certain things. So it's hard to give up. That's why whenever you meet, even new people that come in, and we are also very new, all of us. So we should focus on and let other people also focus more on do's. Worry more about attending the Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam class, or hearing the class, or coming to the temple, or chanting the names, doing the Hari Kirtan. Like doing or adding Krishna in your life is always easier than subtracting the material things from your life. And then those things, as Krishna keeps entering your life, he will expand his presence more and more. You know, he's unlimited. He will keep adding, you keep adding Krishna more and more in your life, and he will keep expanding in your life. And so there will be no time, no space for these other material enjoyments that you were used to, and slowly the taste will also go away. So very nice point, Mataji. Any other points? Okay, so then we'll stop for today. Thank you everyone for joining. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Guru and Gauranga. Hare Krishna. Vancha kaltarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva patatanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Hare Krishna. I did want to make a quick announcement.
Hare Krishna.